Welcome back. It's Shirley here. We're back working on Yvette's paper piecing project box, Halloween 2021. The sections we're going to be working on today are ZZ, VV, TT, and SS. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the color placement for these sections. You'll find your pattern from page 17, page 14, and page 13 of the pattern booklet. I'm going to start with ZZ for our color placement. I have just photocopied from the booklet, making sure that it's at 100%, and I have used a light box, and I'm going to just turn this on here, or our placement for color for ZZ. If you notice, the only piece that is colored is ZZ1, which is going to be black. 2, 3, and 4 are going to be our white pieces. And if you notice, normally what you would do is you would take your pattern piece, you would flip it over, and then color in the corresponding areas. Like WW and XX, remember they are reversed, so this actually corresponds to VV when you put it in the proper place, because our patterns or stitching are always done from the wrong side. For VV section, VV1 is the only one colored in black. For sections SS and TT, you will notice that they are correct. If you notice that, turn this over, and you'll see that it now corresponds to the SS section. So what I did was I referred to the pattern booklet, and I have colored in SS1. That is the only place that it will be black fabric. For the TT, I have taken and I flipped my pattern over, and the only piece that is colored with a different fabric than black is the little nose section, which is TT1. Everything else is going to be black fabric. I've taken my color placement copy and I have made 2 copies, and I've used freezer paper. My first copy will be for my stitching pattern. The second one will be for my fabric cutting. I've done the same with ZZ. I have made 2 copies on freezer paper. If you are using photo paper or printer paper, you will need to cut or to print off 2 of these for your stitching pattern and 1 for cutting apart your pattern pieces. This is my stitching copy, and what I've done is, like I did on the other sections and in the other video, if you're not sure, just refer back to it. I've started folding my stitching lines from the largest number working down to the smallest number. So that's my stitching piece. For my fabric cutting, I have done the same thing. I've cut my second copy from freezer paper. I have cut it apart, cutting from the largest number down to the smallest number, and these are the pieces. This is the layout for the section VV, and this is how I've laid them out for cutting. I've used the straight of grain, and for my pattern pieces you can see where I've left the seam allowance on. That way I can tell that I'm cutting it on the straight of grain. Remember, I want my outside edges to be on the straight of grain and these areas to be my bias. So that's how I cut my pattern pieces, my fabric from my pattern pieces. You'll do the same with your ZZ section, and we'll go ahead and start working on section VV1. Off camera, I have stitched VV section together using the same method that I did in the previous video, and because I used freezer paper, I can now remove my freezer paper and use it again for the second one that we need. I'm now going to be working on SS section, and I have gone ahead and completed one. Now I'm going to take off my completed one, set it to the side, and as you notice, it corresponds to the printout on page 26. I'm going to now lay my pieces on and cut and start sewing. Okay, we're working on section TT now, and one thing I'm going to bring in that I haven't shown you before is I'm going to be using removable Scotch tape. It has to be removable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by showing you that I have cut out my pieces. Remember, it's wrong side up. And here is my pink fabric, wrong side up, and I've just cut a square. I've completed one section already. Remember to fold your lines, and I usually start by folding them first along the highest number and then working from there. You'll notice that there are very, very tiny pieces, and I'm going to show you. I came up with something that I think helped me an awful lot, was to not lose any of my tiny pieces. So I just took a piece of scrap paper, the same size as my pattern piece. I've taken my paper and I've just taken my removable Scotch tape, and I've just taken some pieces and laid them over top. And you have to overlap them at least halfway. Just the size that I need to keep track of all my little pieces. Just going to pull that off. And then I'm going to remove my tape. I just didn't overlap them enough. start at the top here. There we go. And now I'm just going to set this down. You can use another piece of tape if you like. And if you have your color copy, you can just set your just place that over top of your color copy. And remember, this tape comes off, so just have to press it down, but I just placed it over top of my color copy that I used. And now we're going to go ahead and start putting this together, and I'll show you how that helps me out, keeping track of all my little pieces. Okay, the first piece we're going to be using is 1, and it is our pink section. So I'm going to take that, place it wrong side down over top of my pattern. Just press the section, don't press the freezer paper. And now the next section we're going to be putting together is TT2. So I'm going to fold along the line between 1 and 2. And trim to 1/4 of an inch away. Now I'm going to be placing my TT2. So I'm going to take it, and remember, it's wrong side up. This is wrong side now facing up. So I can just take and place that in behind, fold it back, and I know that's exactly where that piece is going to go. Fold it back into position, fold along the line between 1 and 2, and take it to the sewing machine and just stitch right along there. Okay, I've stitched along the line between 1 and 2. I'm going to fold this back. I still have my 2 on there. So I'm going to take this, and with the sticky side of my removable tape, I'm just going to place this on top, right over top of there. And now I'm going to take my teeny tiny little 2 piece, pick it up, and if you have a pair of tweezers or whatever, it helps. You can take that tweezer and just press that back into place, and it's done. Now we'll go on to finishing this up. Just got a little bit too wet there. Going to fold section 2 back into position and press. Just remember, the freezer paper sticks to the fabric better if you're pressing from the paper side. I'm going to fold along the line between 2 and 3. Trim. T3 is our next section. It's been cut wrong side up. Place it on like that. Flip it over. And we know now that that is exactly where it's going to be placed. Flip it over. We now have right sides together. Flip it back and stitch right along there. I've stitched between 2 and 3. Fold it back. I can take my 3-piece using my little tweezers. Just stick it down on that. And I'm not going to lose those little tiny pieces. Continue on just like we did before. We're now going to fold along the line between 3 and 4. Trim. Lay our pattern piece on. We're now going to take 4, place it in behind, fold it over. That's the way it's supposed to go. We're going to flip it back, line it up, fold back, and stitch. I stitched along the line between 3 and 4. Remove my paper. Place it down. Finger press. And we now have 4 in place. The next number is 5. That's our teeny tiny piece, which is hiding underneath here. I'm going to fold along the line between TT1 and TT5. That's that real tiny piece. I'm now going to trim. Okay, so now we want 5. So we're going to take our 5 piece, place it down, fold it over, fold it back, fold along that line, and stitch. I've stitched along the line between 1 and 5. Fold it into the position. Remove my little TT5. Place it back onto my paper. And again, continue on. Finger press. Press from the paper side. Now we're going to be adding 6. So we're going to fold along the line between 5 and 6. Trim. Place it down. 6. Put it in behind. Fold it over. Flip this over. Line up our cut edges and fold our pattern back. And now stitch along the line. I've stitched along the line between 5 and 6. Remove my tiny piece. Place it onto my paper and continue on. Number 7, fold along the line between 6 and 7. And trim. Okay, we're going to add 7. We're going to place it in behind, lift up, flip over, and flip over. Line up our cut edges again. Turn it over and stitch along the line between 6 and 7. I've stitched along the line between 6 and 7. Remove my paper. Finger press that into the position. And press again. And we're down to our last piece. So So we're going to fold along the line now between 7, the top section. We're going to fold that back so we can trim along that line. T8 or TT8, place that down, flip it over, right sides together, line up those cut edges, and now stitch along that line. Okay, I've done, pardon me, I've done the last section, so now I'm going to fold it into back, remove my 8, place it on there, finger press this back, and now press it with the iron. And press it from the paper side. And now all that's left is to trim our outside edges. Remember, trim along the dotted line. And that dotted line is 1/4 of an inch away from the seam line. And there we have TT finished. Here's our little kitty. And there we have our 2 pieces. As you can see from this, handling small pieces is not that hard. And you can take this off. And just with your cutter, you can trim away any of that excess tape. And remember, this is removable tape, so you can take your pieces off, put them back, and you have a copy for cutting out pattern pieces again if you want to make another one of these. Why not make some kitty heads in a different color and use them on a different project? So we've completed these sections. I've left the freezer paper on the back. So those are done. Our kitty head is coming together quite nicely. My pieces, I have just use the doubles or use the removable tape and just tape them onto my pattern piece or my book pattern. And same thing with that one. And same thing with that one. Okay, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please leave a comment in the comment section below the video, and we'll carry on with our YY and UU, and we'll be finished the kitty head. I will show you how I manage my pieces for that, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.